Hey now, I'm very excited. In a couple of days, I'm going to be smoking a Spatchcock turkey. It's an 18-pound turkey on my Pit Boss 700 FB. So 2 days out here, I'm going to prep the turkey. I'm going to spatchcock it, and I'm going to get it into a brine. So let's play around. Now, since I was starting with a frozen turkey, I actually started to thaw this a couple of days ago. I just had this really large bucket that I filled up with water and let it chill in the garage because it's basically refrigerator temperature in there. So I've got my turkey and it's mostly thawed here. The nice thing about doing it this way, especially brining it a couple of days in advance, is that even if you have a large bird like this and it isn't quite thawed, by the time you go to brine it, you know that you still have a day or two here where it can continue to thaw as it's in that brine. So I've got the giblets all up there. I'm just going to cut that little piece there that's holding those legs together. Make sure I don't have anything else in there. I'm saving the giblets, the neck, all of that fun stuff because I'm going to be using that for the gravy. Now, in order to spatchcock this just in the easiest way possible, I've got this sweet set of poultry shears here, and I'm going to use that to cut the spine out. And I'm also going to reserve that spine because that is also going to be used in order to make the gravy. So we'll have lots of nice stuff for that. Now coming along here, you got to make sure that you get this one bone that is right there, all nicely put off to the one side, and I am going to cut out the other side here too to get the spine right out. All right, and all removed. So now that I have this opened up, I'm just going to make sure that I don't have any liquid or ice remaining in here just because I'm going to be flipping it upside down and I'm trying to minimize any sort of mess here in the kitchen. Pat this dry a little bit. I'm going to complete that spatchcocking. You want to open it up. And there we go. This is a little bit trickier to do with the turkey than with the chicken just because it is such a stronger bird structurally. And I don't have quite enough leverage here to do it with ease because my counter is a little bit high. But either way, I got that done. I'm just cleaning things up a little bit here on the bottom end, getting stuff out of the way. Pulling a little bit of this fat out here that's just going to melt out right away when this is cooking on this side anyway. And it'll be stuff that I can add again in order to make that gravy. So we are ready now to get this into the brine. So I want to get some nice citrus into that brine. So I've got a navel orange here that I'm just going to cut up into eighths, like so. And actually, I guess let's go with 16ths. I'm going to do the same here. A nice grapefruit. Two limes. Those will go into eighths. And one sizable lemon. And of course, I'm going to save all that nice juice. I also have 10 cloves of garlic here that I'm just cutting into half. Help release a little bit more of its sweet flavor. Then I've got a couple of small onions here. So here we go. All of our citrus, onion, and garlic ready to go into the water. Of course, it wouldn't be a brine if it wasn't salty, so because we're going with 20 liters of water and I want a 5% salinity, I took a full kilogram of kosher salt here, which is right around 4 cups. I got it into some warm water, got it all up into solution, and I'm going to add it into the 20 liters. So this took about 3 liters of water or so, just so that I could actually dissolve it. And just because I think it's a swell idea, I'm going to add an eighth of a cup of some black peppercorns. And turkey is good to go in. So I'm going to drop this in. I've got this all in a 10-gallon cooler. That's going to keep it nice and contained. And, oh, beautiful. All right, let's give it a couple of days. So I have all those turkey bits here in the crock pot. I've had that simmering away all day along with some veg and some herbs and all kinds of good stuff here. Make a delicious gravy. Well, so after a couple of days, I'm just going to pull out the turkey here from the brine. I'm going to pop that into a meat tub, and then we can get this prepped up for the smoker. So now that I'm in my really handy, nice, deep meat tub here, I am just patting dry the turkey because I'm going to be applying some seasoned olive oil to it here in just a moment. So I want to get as much moisture out of the way as possible. I've decided not to do gloves for this particular part of the operation here because I'm just going to wind up getting my wrists all mucked up anyway because I'm going to be digging underneath the skin. So let's get this all dried off. Alrighty, so this is one of those situations where having these tiny little hands is actually quite handy. I just going with the thighs here, I reached in and I'm trying to separate some of the skin here from everything. I got right down through the drumsticks as well as the thighs there. And I'm taking some chunks of butter. I normally would use salted butter, but we had run out of that, so we actually just sprinkled some kosher salt onto this butter. That's going to work just as well. Get some nice seasoning underneath the skin here. So I'm going to do that for the thighs, for the drumsticks. And then also for the breasts. I know some people like to use like wooden spoons or something like that to get under here and separate this, but since I've got the right size of sad little hands here, this is going to work out quite nicely. So if I didn't do that, I might have my kids do it, make them get all nasty. All right, and this butter is just going to sit here and melt under the skin as it's cooking. It'll be absolutely delicious. Now I've got some seasoned olive oil here. So in this, I cubed or diced up a whole bunch of, there's garlic, there's some fresh thyme, fresh rosemary, there's paprika, salt, and black pepper. So now we're just going to actually get some onto my hands here. Sweet. I get a little bit of that under there as well. And then we're just going to get it all over the bird. There we go. And that should be good for now. I'm going to reserve some of that, and that's going to go on partway through the smoke. Well, since it is still actually reasonably cold outside, I've got my Pit Boss insulated blanket on here, which I love. It helps reduce any sort of the impact of the wind, and it keeps the temperature a lot more consistent here while we're cooking. And what I've got here is I just have like a baking sheet I like to use in the smoker. I've got this cool little rack in there as well. And I've got this on the smoke setting. And I'm just going to set this up in here. I'm going to flip it like this. This is going to take a little bit of manipulation here. I almost need 4 hands. We're gonna do it. Get that up on there. Cue the circus music. The reason I'm doing this is so that I've got this baking sheet, I've got some a little apple cider vinegar and some water in there, and that's going to help keep things a little bit more moist as this is smoking away here. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to leave it just like that. The last thing I am going to do though is I'm going to take my Meter Plus probe and I'm going to get it into the thick part of the breast here, and that way I can keep a nice eye on the temperature. Ooh, after half an hour, I'm actually going to go ahead and turn this up to 300 degrees so we can get some nice cooking going on here. So 1 hour, 15 minutes later, ooh, look at that. That is looking fantastic. I'm gonna go ahead, this is gonna be super hard to do with just my own hands here. I'm gonna baste this here really quickly and then let it resume cooking. Ooh, 30 minutes later, we're gonna baste this again. Very, very excited about this. Oh, I flipped it around here, jacked the temperature to 400 degrees for the last little bit of the cook. Awesome. Woo! Look at that. We've hit temperature, we're ready to pull this off and let it rest. With the world's largest spatula. Maybe. All right, after letting this rest for about 10 minutes, look at that. It's falling apart. We're gonna bust this up. Oh, there we go. Big platter of meat. All right, so nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to watch me put this into my mouth here, which is gonna happen here right away. I figured, you know what? Take a thigh. It's one piece of meat, right? That's the excuse I'm gonna go with here. So this meat, I've had some of the breast, is absolutely succulent. It had about 4 hours all in on the Pit Boss 700 FB, and I'm extremely happy with how it turned out. So a little bit different than the Thanksgiving turkey that I did over the campfire in a similar fashion, but extremely pleased with this. Not quite the whole conquest over nature and camping factor that I had when I was doing this while camping, but very, very, very happy. So yes, if you got a pellet smoker, do this. Love it, enjoy it, and until next time, keep it at 11.